facility outside Washington, D.C. in McLean, Virginia. The team here in Mission Control in Houston, obviously following along as well. The team is led currently by Flight Director Tomas Gonzalez Torres. He is overseeing a team that's been on console since early this morning, and will be obviously following along with the launch activities today as well.
Roger that. Check 338.
Now inside 7 minutes and counting to launch. All very quiet and going very smoothly in the countdown. The countdown again began just before 5 a.m. Eastern Time, about 8 hours and 15 minutes or so before launch. In about 3 minutes, the initiation of the auto sequencer will occur. That essentially transitions to terminal count.
And site control, confirm AFB ECS has transferred from air to GN2.
NLC, site control, we can confirm air to GN2 to AFB.
Roger that. Check 339.
For reference, for most of the ascent calls, those will be made by Mike Dorsch there at the Range Control Center. He is the Antares Chief Engineer, so you'll be hearing him for the most part making most of the ascent calls after Antares lifts off.
And Ops 1, Step 340, you go to transfer avionics to internal power.
LC Ops 1 in work. All internal power on, standing by 5 seconds. And all external power off.
Check 340, elect 1, step 342, verify avionics, internal power nominal.
LC elect 1, internal power is nominal.
Check 342, NASA TD, report range status.
Range is green.
Check 343, Ops 1, open FTS unbi loop and verify green indication.
So the Antares rocket now is on internal power, approaching 4 minutes and counting to launch. A few of the milestones going uphill. Stage 1 throttle down about 3 minutes, a little more than 3 minutes after launch. Stage 1 separation will be about the 4-minute mark. The protective fairing around the Cygnus will separate a little after the 5-minute mark of the ascent phase. Cygnus stage 2 or Antares stage 2 burnout occurs about 8 minutes after launch, and the Cygnus spacecraft would separate about 10 minutes after launch. And orbital insertion will be approximately 150 by 185 statute miles. In reference to where the station will be in altitude, the ISS is at 261 statute miles.
Elect 1, I'll wait for your verification of OCCS commanding flight.
Solar array deploy occurs roughly begins about 11 minutes or so after launch and should be completed within the next 5 or 10 minutes after the deploy sequence begins.
Auto sequence start.
Check 352.
Control has transferred to CSOE. ODM bus voltages and currents are nominal.
Check 353, check 354.
The vehicle's now in auto sequence control.
355.
LOX pressurization nominal.
Approaching 2.5 minutes to launch.
SIGI is nominal and ready to configure for flight.
Roger that. Check 356 and Ops 2, step 357, disable automated blended to pure inertial handoffs.
Automated handoffs disabled.
Copy that. Check 357. Ops 2, send 1 manual blended to pure inertial handoff.
Manual handoff sent.
Check 358. T-minus 2 minutes on my mark. Mark. Ops 2, disable ME1 and ME2 heaters.
Now 2 minutes and counting at when Cygnus or Antares and Cygnus lift off. The rocket will actually head out toward the east-southeast to track the same plane as that of the International Space Station, which at the time of launch will be off the eastern coast of South America and Brazil, near the equator. Stage 1 ignition actually occurs at the liftoff time of 1:07 and 5 seconds. And after a series of engine health checks, when those are completed at about the plus 1.5 second mark, the vehicle would lift off. "50 seconds and counting.
T-minus 30 seconds on my mark. Mark.
Inside 30 seconds to launch. Again, Antares Chief Engineer Mike Dorsch will make most of the calls going uphill on the ascent profile of Antares, greatly anticipating the delivery of Cygnus to orbit and on its way to the International Space Station.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
We have liftoff of the Antares vehicle for the Orb-1 mission while the flight facility delivering Cygnus on its first commercially supplied service to the ISS.
And Antares is on its way, delivering Cygnus to orbit.
Attitude is nominal.
Than a minute after launch, all continuing to go smoothly in the initial stages of ascent for Antares.
We passed through 3,000 feet in altitude. Avionics power systems remain nominal. Pressurization valve VNO3 has come on. Core pressures are nominal. A modest amount of steering as the vehicle passes through max Q and its maximum dynamic pressure. Altitude is 45,000 feet. CVC steering remains good. Pressurization valve VNG3 is on. Core pressures remain nominal. Attitude is good. Velocity is 2,000 feet per second. Avionics systems remain healthy. Engine performance remains nominal.
2 minutes into flight.
TVC still tracking commands well. Attitude remains nominal. 100 seconds to main engine cutoff. Altitude 100,000 feet. Attitude remains nominal, coming up on T plus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Avionics systems remain good. TVC is tracking commands well. Steering commands are very small at this point.
2.5 minutes into flight, stage 1 throttle down will occur about 3 minutes 24 seconds into the mission.
1,000 feet per second. Engine performance looks good. Coming up on T plus 3 minutes. Avionics power systems still look healthy.
Three minutes into the flight.
100,000 feet altitude. Core pressurization valves of VNO 4, 5, and 6 are all on now. Core pressures remain nominal.
Standing by for throttle down that will occur at an altitude of 49 miles.
It's now 10,000 feet per second.
Traveling 7,200 miles per hour.
Less than 30 seconds to MECO. Altitude 300,000 feet. Attitude remains nominal. We've skewed. MECO skew is complete.
Standing by for main engine cutoff of stage 1.
Power nominal. And we have MECO. Attitude remains nominal.
MECO occurring 66 miles in altitude, traveling 10,000 miles per hour.
Stage 1 separation.
And as you heard, stage 1 separation has occurred. And the telemetry tracking the spacecraft. A beautiful launch occurring on time at 1:07 p.m. Eastern Time.
Stage 1 performance was 19,710 feet per second of delta V. That's within 40 feet per second of the nominal prediction. Excellent stage 1 performance. Antares is now in the coast phase until the proper conditions for fairing separation and stage 2 ignition are achieved.
And that fairing separation should occur about 30 seconds from now, about 5 minutes, 20 seconds into the mission, now at 5 minutes, MET and counting.
It's determined that stage 2 ignition will be at T plus 5 minutes and 47 seconds. So under 40 seconds to stage 2 ignition, attitude remains nominal.
Standing by for fairing separation, followed very quickly by interstage separation.
20 seconds to stage 2 ignition. Power remains. 10 seconds to stage 2 ignition. Fairing separation. Interstage separation. TVC battery initiated.
As 6 minutes into the flight, all continuing to go smoothly. Stage 2 ignition has occurred.
Stage Sorry, we have stage 2 ignition. Pressures look nominal in the early part of the Castor 30 burn. This is the first flight of the enhanced performance Castor 30V motor. It'll burn about 128 seconds. It's about 12 seconds longer than the the standard version of the motor that we flew on the first 2 missions. Attitude remains nominal. Altitude is 205 kilometers.